Sup nerds, I'm Wes.
And I'm Aaron.
We're Never Board Gaming, and we're taking a look at Sorcerer City by Druid City Games.
So to me, Sorcerer City is kind of like a solitaire tournament of Carcassonne. Like, you are building a city with a tile placement, but you're doing your own city and it's all by yourself. You just have 2 minutes, like you're racing against the time to build it. And at first, like the first round, the second round, that's way more, that's ample time. Like, you could build it twice in that amount of time.
Well, that's a little bit hyperbole, but...
Yeah, but it's definitely, you are working on your thing and you're working on your thing, and it's just like, it's completely nothing, there's no player interaction.
Well, I mean, there is some player interaction. Some of the rewards you can get at the end of each round let you target other players, and you're all vying for, like, the most influence in the track, and your raw magic you can turn into things. You can kind of be like, alright, so you have this. It's a little mathy in that. And then even a little bit, if you don't have enough space to play this game, like we had the one where we're trying to build our cities, and they started, like, overlapping each other a little bit.
Like, get off my city!
So there's no direct player interaction in the game, but I do feel like there is a decent amount of, like, social interaction.
Yeah.
Just even with the time. I feel like with the time limit on there, you're kind of butting elbows and trying to take up table space, so...
You could just mess with each other and be like, hey, don't place that there, or like if you finish, just be like, hey, you can never finish.
Oh, if you just heckle?
Yeah, just,
oh my gosh, that'd be awful. And I do think that comparing it to Carcassonne is, you know, because you're building a city and you're trying to connect certain goals together, so like you're trying to build a bigger field or build a bigger road. There are the rewards on those tiles, but the time limit on it really makes things different. Because it, again, like you said, round one, I was like, oh, this is a joke. And even round two, I was like, okay, I'm getting it. Round three, I had my last tile I didn't get to place, and it would have been like another 10 money in the game.
So you're like, okay, next round, I need to place way quicker. And
the
fifth round especially, you have that huge stack of tiles.
Yeah.
Because of the deck building.
And that is something you have to think about when you're building, because, you know, again, when you have all that money to spend, you're like, oh, I've got over 20 money now. I can buy 3 things, or maybe I have another thing that lets me buy a 4th one, which is awesome. But then you have to think, do I really want that many tiles in my deck? The deck, your stack of tiles, whatever. There is deck building, but you're building your stack of tiles. So there's a lot of trying to figure that out, and there's only like the one monster that kind of lets you cull tiles out of your deck.
The dragon can delete tiles.
Yeah, which could be good or bad. It's not like you can delete a tile. It's no, you have to delete something right next to him.
Yeah, so he's very dangerous if he's like the second tile you pull out, because you place him next to whatever, and that first tile is destroyed because the dragon is adjacent to it.
Yeah.
You're like, well, that really stinks. But he can be helpful for, like, destroying other monsters if you can get him later.
Yeah, and since you don't get to pick what monsters you get, it's not like you can say, oh, I'm going to take the dragon and risk it. It's like, if you get the dragon, don't feel like, well, this sucks. I got the worst monster in the game. They do have some potential benefits to them.
One thing that kind of stands out that's different from Carcassonne in the tile building is you do not have to match things up.
Oh,
Carcassonne, like, you have to match them perfectly. This... Like, there's so many, if you look here, like, my colors are not matching up correctly. And that just gives you less, like, of the areas. If you're trying to score one of the tiles, it's like an area tile or a length tile. That's really the only thing it holds against you. If you could have no colors matching, and if you have the ones that just score for having other shields next to them, you're fine. You just stack them all next to each other. You're good to go.
Which is great, but you're going to have then all your starting tiles that are just kind of wasted. So ideally you'll match as many things together as you can, but there's definitely those points in the game where, like, you're on a time limit, so there's that pressure on you, but you're like, oh my gosh, if I could put it here and do this, or I could put it here and potentially get this to link later, that'd be better, but I can't do both. And if I do it here, it's going to block this other thing that I could, like, you know, I have an opening here and an opening here, and depending on how I orient it, it's going to close one off and make one better. So there's some, like, major, it's not just like how fast can you put your tiles down, but there's some decision making that you have to make too, that you really have to be quick on your feet to get it done.
Especially if you're standing.
And I think there's other things that the game just move quickly. Like, a lot of these games that are real time, I feel like there's like a real time aspect and then like a really slow maintenance. You're like, oh my gosh, there's a 2-minute timer, and then like 10 minutes until you start the timer again. This game does move pretty quick. There's a good bit that happens between rounds where you have to determine influence and score your points and assign where your magic is going to and buy your tiles and get your monsters, but that doesn't take forever. I feel like it moves pretty quickly. So even in a 6-player game, because you can do that now, I really don't think there's going to be that much time between rounds. So it's going to be really good in that aspect.
I think my favorite thing about this game is that deck building.
That your deck building, your tiles that you're placing out there.
Yeah.
It's almost like with Carcassonne, if you play the game and you like it, and you're like, all right, I'm going to go out and buy an expansion to change it a little bit. This has like a ton of expansions mixed into it, and so you're constantly trying to buy certain tiles to add to it. And I think what I really liked most about it was the fact that every round, like, you wipe and start over again.
Mm-hmm.
So if you make a mistake, it's not going to haunt you forever. Like, it could throw you back in points, but we even saw in our games that, like, one person could shoot 25 points ahead one game, and that gap can be closed. That's a lot of points in this game, but it's not like, oh my gosh, she's 25 points ahead, I'm just going to quit in round 2.
No, because you can score up to a maximum of 60 victory points, which is really hard to
60
do.
per round.
Yeah, per round. I can see in the 5th round it's definitely possible, especially if you spend all of your magic. If you have a bunch of magic, it's like, I'm going to turn this raw magic into more victory points. And then if you also are scoring victory points, like, you could definitely...
Which also comes into how you're buying tiles, because the different colors give you different stats. So you're, obviously you want to get a lot of victory points, so you may be tempted to go all green-purple, which is basically end-of-game victory points and the raw magic that you can turn into victory points. But if you're not getting a lot of money, the yellow gold, throughout the game, then you're going to fall behind, and when those really big tiles come up, the people who are like, all right, I have, 50 money, so I get 3 buys, maybe a 4th buy because of some ability, and I'm going to buy all these like double shield tiles, tier 4s. So there really is a balancing act that you have to do, and you kind of have to remember what's in your deck, not only when you're buying, but also when you're building, because you can set up, say, okay, I'm going to build like this ring, and I know that I have this one tile that's going to go right in the middle of it.
When you are buying tiles, it is nice that you already have your built city, so you can go, this one will actually really combo with what I have, or you can be like, oh, I don't really have many yellows or greens or whatever you're trying to, like you said, balance it out. You might just look down and go, what do I need? What should I buy?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about the stretch goal that got unlocked that lets each player start with a different ability. The fact that each player starts the game with a slightly different strategy or ability or whatever that is. Games like that I love. Like, it is good when they all start off equal playing fields, so that you never feel like, oh, well, that player starts with that thing, so of course he won. But I do feel like even if there is a little bit of a skew, you can even use that to let the more inexperienced player do that, or challenge yourself to give somebody else that.
So if you couldn't tell, we really like this game, and we really recommend that you pick it up. If you liked anything you heard here and it sounds like a good game for your game group, you should definitely get a copy. Click on the Kickstarter link in the description box below or in the card right about here, and that'll take you to the Kickstarter page.
And when you're going to back that game, you're going to see some options. There's the regular game, which is fine. There's also the deluxe game, which just looks amazing. The coins you get, the prestige points, they're nice. All metal coins. They all kind of like stack together. They look gorgeous.
Way better than these cardboard ones.
Yeah, you're going to get the prototype cardboard ones if you don't. Also, on the prestige track, or the tracks where you track all your stats, we got these little circle-y wooden bits. You're going to get a different kind of wooden bit, unless you back the deluxe one, in which case you'll all get little minis to go on there. You could paint them all up to look super cool. Like, why wouldn't you? And that's really the question you should be asking yourself, is why wouldn't you?
That way you have it.
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 Either way, you should definitely subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored.
Sup, nerds, I'm Wes.
Oh, I was waiting for a third. I was waiting for Tom.
Sup, nerds, I'm Wes.
And I'll... Gee, I don't know what.